Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are absolutely tumbling down the rabbit hole to unpack one of the wildest, most famous stories ever written, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Now, on the surface, it just seems like a bunch of whimsical nonsense, right? But if you look a little closer, it's actually a brilliant, sharp look at logic, identity, and power. We're going to follow Alice's whole journey, from being this bored kid on a riverbank to the only person brave enough to stand up and challenge a queen.
And it all kicks off right here with this one simple thought that I think we can all relate to. Alice is just bored. Her world is predictable, it's dull, and this single sentence tells you everything you need to know about her. She's a girl who craves imagination, who wants things to happen, who wants dialogue. So you can see why, when a white rabbit in a waistcoat checking a pocket watch literally runs by, she doesn't think twice. She just follows him.
And what a fall it is. Seriously, this isn't just some quick trip. Lewis Carroll describes it as this super slow, almost dreamlike descent. This is Alice's very first taste of this new world, one where, all the rules she's ever known about physics, about time, about basic logic, they're all about to be thrown right out the window.
What's so fascinating about this fall is watching Alice try to make sense of something that makes no sense at all. As she's floating down, she sees cupboards and bookshelves just lining the walls. She even grabs the jar of marmalade, sees that it's empty, and then really carefully places it back on another shelf so it won't hit anybody down below. I mean, she's applying real-world manners to this totally bizarre situation. She even tries to practice her school lessons, and she gets caught in this little riddle of her own. Do cats eat bats? Which, after a while, slowly turns into, do bats eat cats? It's a perfect little window into her mind, just trying so hard to put some kind of order on pure chaos. Okay, so when she finally lands, that's when the real tests begin. Here are the very first rules of Wonderland, and they're completely arbitrary. Drink me and eat me. One simple command makes her shrink down to almost nothing, and the other makes her shoot up to this monster size. And she's immediately trapped in this frustrating loop. First, she's too small to reach the key, then she's way too big to fit through the door. This has nothing to do with being smart. It's all about having to surrender to a world where cause and effect are just totally scrambled.
All these constant size changes are actually a really powerful metaphor for one of the book's biggest ideas. One second, Alice is tiny and totally helpless, literally crying a pool of her own tears. The next, she's a giant with her head bumping against the ceiling. And if you think about it, from a kid's point of view, this feeling is so real, right? Sometimes you feel like you can do anything, and other times you feel so small and completely ignored by all the adults around you. Alice's physical changes are really just showing us on the outside what she's feeling on the inside on this journey of growing up.
So, this physical chaos, well, it pretty quickly leads to a much deeper problem. After dealing with Wonderland's weird objects, Alice now has to face a full-blown crisis of her own identity. And then this happens. This question, delivered by a hookah-smoking caterpillar no less, it's so simple, so direct, and at the same time, a profoundly difficult question to answer. I mean, in our world, we probably have a few go-to answers. But in Wonderland, where every single thing Alice knows has been turned upside down, this question just sends her into a complete spiral. In a world where nothing makes sense, how can you possibly be sure of who you are?
And just look at how she tries to answer him. She goes back to the logic of her old life. She knows she isn't her friends Ada or Mabel. But when she tries to prove who she is, everything fails her. 4 times 5 is now 12. London is somehow the capital of Paris. Even the simple nursery rhymes that she's known her whole life come out all twisted into these bizarre, weird poems. It's like all the pillars of her identity have just crumbled, leaving her with absolutely no proof of who she is anymore. So where do you go from there? Having kind of lost her sense of self, Alice now stumbles into a part of Wonderland where madness isn't just chaos, it's actually a system with its own bizarre, twisted set of rules.
And this is where we meet the one and only Cheshire Cat, who offers his own, impeccable logic. He proves his madness, and by extension Alice's, with a perfectly structured argument. He says, look, a dog does this, I do the complete opposite, therefore I'm mad. You are here with me, therefore you must be mad too. It's wild. In this world, being mad is just the default setting. It's a foundational law, just like gravity is in ours.
And then, oh boy, we arrive at the Mad Tea Party. This is the absolute peak of nonsensical conversation. The Hatter poses this now famous riddle, and the brilliant punchline is, well, there is no punchline. There's no answer. It's a question that was designed for the pure sake of being a question. It's a conversation that goes absolutely nowhere, which is the perfect embodiment of Wonderland's pointless logic.
And that's exactly why the tea party can never end. The Hatter explains that he got into an argument with time itself, personified as a him, and he murdered the time. So as punishment, time is now frozen, stuck forever at 6 o'clock, which is tea time. So they're all trapped, just forced to rotate around the table for all eternity, all because a fundamental concept, the passage of time, has been broken.
So we go from the frustrating logic of the Tea Party, and we escalate to the genuinely dangerous and arbitrary power of the Queen of Hearts. This is really where the nonsense stops being funny and starts to get pretty serious. The Queen's croquet game is the perfect symbol of her entire rule. I mean, how are you even supposed to play this? It's a game that is literally impossible. The mallets are live flamingos that look up at you, the balls are hedgehogs that unroll and just wander off, and the arches are soldiers who get up and walk away. It is complete and utter chaos, and it's all designed so that nobody can ever win. Except for the Queen, of course, who just makes up the rules as she goes.
And this is our answer for everything. Did someone miss their shot? Off with their head. Is she just slightly annoyed? Off with their head. It is the ultimate expression of irrational, absolute power. There's no judge, there's no jury, there's no logic, just a furious, childish scream.
But then, the Griffin reveals this incredible secret. All that terrifying power, it's a complete illusion. He says it's all her fancy. It's just talk. The Queen screams and yells and sentences people to death all day long, but nobody ever actually gets executed. Her power is just a performance, a loud, angry fantasy that everyone is simply too scared to challenge.
And that single revelation sets up the entire final confrontation. Armed with this new knowledge that the Queen's power is basically a sham, Alice enters the courtroom for a trial, and this is where she finally finds her voice.
The whole trial is a complete joke, of course, but the key moment comes when Alice starts to grow back to her full size. The king, seeing her as a threat, literally just invents Rule 42 on the spot. It's maybe the most obvious example of arbitrary rulemaking in the whole book. It's not an old law, it's a new one he created just to get rid of her.
And this is Alice's moment of triumph. After being confused and lost and pushed around this whole time, she finally sees Wonderland for exactly what it is. It's not a real place with real rules or real threats. It's a flimsy, two-dimensional illusion. She dismisses the king, the furious queen, the whole court with this one powerful statement. She completely rejects their reality and reclaims her own.
And the second she confronts them, the whole illusion just shatters. The pack of cards flies up into the air, and suddenly they're not soldiers or royals anymore. They're just leaves, fluttering down onto her face. The dream is over. That terrifying world just collapses right back into the peaceful, logical reality of the riverbank.
But the story leaves us with this final wonderful question. As Alice runs off to have her tea, her sister stays behind, and she starts to dream a little herself. She imagines Alice growing up, but keeping that simple and loving heart of her childhood, and one day telling these same strange stories to her own children. It kind of suggests that Wonderland isn't just some dream to be forgotten, but that it's an essential part of growing up, a place of imagination that we carry with us, blurring that line between the logic of our world and the beautiful madness of our dreams.